Are you looking for the best lead magnet to grow your coaching business? You're in the right place. Today, we're going to talk about how you can grow your email list and also sell more with the same strategy. Welcome to my channel. My name is Fiteni, and I have been in the online coaching business for the last 10 years, teaching coaches how to build successful businesses from the ground up and scaling them online, growing internationally. Today, we're going to talk about my favorite strategy, which at the moment is possibly the most effective strategy you can use to grow your coaching business. And that is webinars. Now, I know before you get all defensive that webinars got a little bit of a bad rep during the pandemic. However, today we're going to take a look at something which is different. A webinar can be perceived as boring because there were so many businesses in the pandemic doing this wrong. And of course, people got put off. But things have changed, people have moved on, and of course, you do not have to call it a webinar. It can be called a lot of other things. It can be called a challenge, it can be called training, it can be called a masterclass, it can be called a workshop. So we're not stuck with webinars. We can create so many different things. You can offer them live or offer them at a later stage, and they can all help grow your email list. Why is this the best strategy? It is the best short-term lead generation strategy because it's going to help you grow your list, and it's also going to help you get clients right away. And of course, when you're hitting two things with one strategy, that is going to accumulate and it's going to get better and better over time. However, one of the reasons why I like to pick it is because when you're new, you generally don't have a very large network. And what tends to happen is that when you're creating a webinar, you're actually creating an online event. So you can create things like Facebook events and LinkedIn events, and then actually invite people to those particular events. So people start getting used to the fact that you're organizing events and you can invite them personally. Of course, you can also do outreach. So on these channels, you can also do outreach and invite people you don't know. You can also agree with group owners, Facebook group owners or community owners on LinkedIn to share your content there and to tell them about the event. So there are a number of ways in which you can actually reach out to people directly and get them to attend your webinar. The great thing is that even if you don't have a very large audience in the beginning, you can do one of two things. You can either sell one-to-one because you need smaller numbers and you're still likely to sell even if you just have 20 people on your webinar. And you can then move to groups if you decide to also use ads. So you can use especially social ads to get more people to your landing page so that you can get more people to register for your webinar and more people to attend, which will turn into more sales. All of this, of course, is going to turn into a bigger email list because every time you run a webinar, you're going to get people on your email list. And of course, generally webinars, you can expect 25 to 30% of people to turn up. For every 300 people you put on your list, you can expect approximately 100 to turn up on your call. If we want to take a look at smaller numbers, if you're doing it without ads, maybe for every 30 people, you're going to get 10 people on the webinar. And it's perfectly doable to actually sell something to these people. What matters is actually that you have the right offer and that you have done the right work when it comes to the foundations of your business. You know what you're selling and who you're selling it to. The most important thing also is if you're going to go to ads, it's important to choose the right kinds of ads. So if you pick Google ads, they're not very likely to work for you. Google ads are more for people who are looking for something very specific and they want to buy it now. So your best bet is to go for social ads, Facebook and Instagram, so that you get your webinar in front of as many people as possible. You can also promote your next webinar, of course, to your list because your list is going to be ever growing. Let's say if you do a webinar every 6 weeks, every time you do a new webinar, you're going to have a bunch of new people from the previous webinar registrations that didn't perhaps attend the previous webinar. These people sometimes, of course, do not attend the webinar, not because they're not interested, but because they just couldn't make it. They're too busy. And usually it's the busy ones that actually need you the most when you're a coach. So actually reaching out to them by email through an email campaign is another strategy that's going to help you get more clients from the same lead generation strategy. There are, of course, a number of strategies that will help you with this. So one thing to really be careful of is to test your ads. So you want to test lead ads against traffic ads. send people directly to your landing page if you're doing ads. If you are doing things organically, you want to test one strategy against the other. So one of the things I like to do is actually have different landing pages so that I know the conversion rate for every traffic source. So if I'm doing ads, I know exactly which ad is giving me which conversion rate. And then if I'm doing things organically, I know how my outreach is converting compared to the traffic that I'm getting from maybe my email list. The email sequence is also very important because this decides how many people are going to actually turn up. So, it's not just about sending emails and giving people information, but it's also the strategy. So what are you going to give them so that you make sure that they turn up for your webinar? What is going to be in the email sequence after the webinar? Because usually on the webinar itself, we want an offer. We want a fantastic offer that is time relevant. So they need to book it as soon as possible during the webinar or in the next 24 hours. And we want to make sure that then you have follow-up emails to tell them about the program that you're selling or the group or the one-to-one program that you're selling, invite them to talk to you on a call. And you want to make sure that the sales process actually continues after the webinar in your email list. Probably the most important thing you will do when planning a webinar is actually aligning your offer with your ideal client and making sure that the whole webinar flows. This is something I work with my clients quite a lot. If it's something you're looking to do, do not hesitate to talk to me. But one of the most important things that you need to build on here is that the foundations of your business are right. And unfortunately, this is something that when you're a little bit new, you can struggle with. So sometimes I get clients who maybe do their first webinar and things don't go as well as we wanted them to. And then usually then they come to me so that we can work out on the details. And usually what we find is that the problem is actually the alignment between the ideal client and the offer. And then usually there can be also a problem with aligning the offer, the ideal client, and the messaging, because the messaging is the most important thing. It is actually what is going to sell on the webinar. So getting the foundations of your business right is extremely important before moving on to webinars, before moving on to any marketing strategy, really. And in fact, if you need help with this, I actually have a small coaching package for this. So if you're interested in making sure that your business foundations are right as a new coach, don't hesitate to book a free call and then we'll take it from there. However, very important when you're planning your webinar is to know your ideal client, know your offer, and maybe also test a few before going on to the webinar. And then, of course, what we need to do is we need to inject that urgency and give them that reason why they have to book it now. So for instance, one thing I love to do on my webinars is keep the offer simple because I have to explain it on the webinar and I have to answer a lot of questions about it. And also I'm going to usually share a landing page with them where they can read about the offer. It's very important that the offer is clear. So simplicity is best, but you can do something very simple. One of my favorites is to actually have a basic and a VIP offer and give everyone a VIP upgrade if they book a call with me during the webinar. And then if they decide to book, that offer is logged in for all the people who booked the call on the webinar. So you can do something as simple as that. You can have an additional course, you can have an additional tool, you can have additional one-to-one calls. So anything that comes to mind, anything that's going to give them a reason to buy now and not wait till next week is going to help you sell. Because unfortunately, what tends to happen is that we give a training online, we do the webinar, and then people feel really motivated. They really love the offer. It's been a busy day. They're thinking of other things. They need to jump off the webinar. And then the motivation just drains away and they don't buy. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you're moving them from feeling like they want to buy to actually booking the call as soon as possible so that you can actually catch them during that wave of motivation when they have that moment of clarity where they know where they want to be and they know that you can help them. And therefore, it is the right time to talk to them on the call and see how you can help them. I always prefer to ask people to jump on a call, especially because of the pricing. If you're selling a $200 course, it's fine. You can just send them to the sales page. But if you're selling anything, I would say that is above $1,000, I think it's important to get them on a call. And also what you'll notice is that maybe if you're selling a group program, some people are not fit for that. And then you can push them into your one-to-one coaching programs instead. And what this does actually, it actually usually turns every call into a client. They just might not be right for the program. And usually this is why people are going to book with you. They just want to know if it's the right fit for them, because you've already explained the offer on the webinar. You've already taken them through the training. They understand that this is something they want. And in fact, talking to you is just going to be a matter of, am I a right fit for it? Do we agree that I'm not going to waste my money, basically? And they want to hear it from you. They want the reassurance. And sometimes they're not a good fit, and it's perfectly fine to push them into another program. Right. So if you're thinking of growing your email list and you've been wondering what kind of ads you could use to do that, I highly recommend looking at combining those ads with some webinars, because you're going to make sales in the short term and you're going to grow your email list in the long run. So that's all from me today. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And if you'd like to talk to me, my booking link will be under this video.